In the Journal of Discourses, Volume 1, number 15, pages 84 through 87, Orson Pratt has given us instruction on the nature of evil spirits, the spirits that are never allowed to occupy their own human body. Quote, "The devil operates in every conceivable form, and this is what the apostle meant when he said, 'We do not merely wrestle against flesh and blood, but also against principalities and powers. We have enemies far more powerful than men to contend against. The devil has not the power to take full possession of the tabernacles of human creatures, unless they give way to him and his influence to that degree that he gets power over them. But we have not time now to trace the history of the powers of darkness in early ages, but will briefly state that they did show forth their power in ancient times." Orson Pratt, Journal of Discourses, Volume 1, Discourse 15, pages 84 to 87. Orson Pratt explains how spirits who could never have their own human body will behave in the characteristics of demons and evil spirits is explained here. Here's some key points from the excerpts of Orson Pratt's discourse we're going over in this presentation. First of all, there is in existence two great powers. One is of God. The other power is an enemy to God. It is the power of that being who rebelled against him. Our world is infested with those spirits of darkness which were, in the beginning, cast down from the Almighty. Satan sought to destroy the plan of God and the agency that the Lord intended to give to intelligent beings. Orson Pratt estimated the numbers to be 100 billion, quote, rebellious spirits or devils who were cast out from heaven and banished to this creation, having no privilege of fleshly tabernacles. From this number, using the world population estimates of 1853, anywhere from 1 billion to 1.2 billion on the planet, Orson Pratt estimated, quote, 100 devils to every being that now exists on the earth in the year 1853. Therefore, from the 100 devils to every human being in the year 1853, we would extrapolate 8 billion people today. That would be reduced to 12 or 13 devils competing for the right to possess human beings. Each human being, according to these numbers and these estimates, every person has 12 devils swarming them, attacking them if they could. Now, of course, you are protected through the powers of the Lord from this happening, if you will yield to the Lord and seek that and obtain that protection. But right now, that number, based on what Orson Pratt said, we would each have 12 devils attempting to take possession of us and possess us in a demonically possessed way. And so Pratt stated these evil spirits can be, quote, very pious. And if you could not discern spirits, you would think, from the manifestation of devils when in the tabernacles of many individuals, that they were perfect angels on earth. When you watch media, when you interact with the world, many people have clearly shown some characteristics of a little bit off-base behavior, thinking values that are just not quite what you would expect them to be. They can be very pious. If you're not able to discern those spirits, you would think from the manifestations of devils that when these devils possess human beings, when they are in the tabernacles of so many individuals, that they were perfect angels on earth. Another point made by Orson Pratt is either you are having the Spirit of the Lord dwell with you, or you are not. having a spirit reflective of God himself. And so when we talk about possession, what kind of spirit possessed each person on the planet, we definitely know that, from what Orson Pratt said, that each person either has the Spirit of the Lord with them, reflecting godly principles, or they do not. In the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verses 7 through 9, we discuss the war in heaven as is prominent in Orson Pratt's discourse here. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought, and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. One sought to destroy the plan of God and the agency that the Lord intended to give to intelligent beings, and to redeem them whenever they would be redeemed or not. And because he considered that his plan was so good before the heavens, and so much superior to the plan that God had devised, said he, Surely I will do it. Wherefore give me thine honor, which is the power of God. That is, he sought to obtain the throne of the Almighty, and to carry out his own purposes in preference to yielding to the purposes and power of the Almighty. This rebellion became so great, and the influence of it spread so rapidly among the heavenly hosts, that 1/3 part of the heavenly throng, the spirits, rebelled against God and followed the evil design and purpose of this angel. No doubt some of them thought that they could accomplish their design, for they had not a knowledge of the future designs and purposes of God, only in a small degree, and consequently they supposed that their plan was better than that of the Almighty. And in this great rebellion the Lord caused Satan, or Lucifer, the son of the morning, and those who follow them, to be cast out from heaven. By and by, persecution became so great upon the early Mormon settlers and saints that scores and scores of the saints were put to death in Missouri. This was followed up until the prophet and patriarch of the church were martyred, and the people driven from their homes, their property destroyed, and every means in the power of the enemy used to uproot and destroy the fullness of the gospel and the priesthood out of the earth. The rest of this presentation features excerpts of this same discourse, not the discourse in its entirety, nor the order. Orson Pratt poses the question, what could have possessed these otherwise Christian professing ordinary citizens of the United States in every other regard? What could have possessed them to commit such crimes as murder and robbery, driving the saints from their homes, destroying their property? The Kirtland Temple was burned down. And what possesses these human beings to act in such a cruel, hideous manner? Quote Orson Pratt, "What was the matter in those days, and why were they so embittered against this people? You have, said they, brought us something so strange. You pretend to visions. You pretend to new revelations. You pretend that God has spoken. You pretend that angels have come. You pretend that God has revealed another record, another Bible. You pretend that you have received the priesthood and the apostleship, and for these things you are not worthy to dwell in our midst. You must be persecuted from city to city. You must be driven from your houses and lands. Your property must be confiscated and destroyed, and there is no power in this country of ours that can protect you and those views which you have so strangely advanced in the midst of this Christian country. Was there any polygamy in those days among the Latter-day Saints? No. God had not revealed and established this practice among them in those days. They were not persecuted for any such thing. It was not named, but we were persecuted because we believed in the same principles that the ancient apostles and Christians believed in. But by and by, after having shed the blood of the prophets, and the saints had been driven from their lands and from one city to another, and their property destroyed, when the wicked had ripened themselves in iniquity, and prepared themselves in a great degree for the overwhelming judgments of the Almighty, and when they found that the people were not to be put down by persecution, and that we would continue publishing these new tidings far and wide, the devil took another turn. What was it? Said he, I see they cannot be put down with persecution. They go forth, and the people will believe them more or less. We cannot destroy them. And if we destroy their property and drive them from place to place, it makes no difference. So I will show them that the world can have revelation enough. And he commenced. Others came out and began to claim they had revelations, and began bringing forth supernatural manifestations. Others did the same in a short time, and they have continued until the present day and have spread over the whole United States and many other parts of the world. If you go forth and make inquiries in regards to these manifestations, you will find that there are several millions of people in this country that believe in them. What a change between now and 40 years ago, and when the church first became known as the gospel having been restored. Then you could scarcely find one in the whole Christian world that would admit the probability of new revelation or supernatural manifestations. Now there are millions in the United States alone. Do these manifestations affect for good those who believe in them? Do they cause them to repent of their sins? No, they who blaspheme the name of God almost with every breath, and that will cheat and take every advantage possible of their brethren, they who will lie and steal and do every species of wickedness and abominations are the very ones that the devil works through. Still, the whole Christian world apparently are now willing to admit new revelation. Oh yes, they have forgotten how they persecuted the Latter-day Saints, because they believed in a new revelation. And now they can believe in revelation by wholesale. They will not believe in records given through the medium of the prophets, but they are ready enough to believe if a wicked man who will blaspheme in the name of Jesus is the medium and is made a participant in this great power. Such characters do not need any organization from God. They do not need any baptism, ordinances, or priesthood. The devil has invented various names for his manifestations in order to get the people to swallow them down, the same as the doctors. When they wish to administer some nauseous kind of medicine, they sweeten it up a little. So the devil has sweetened up these things in such a way that he has got almost all these manifestations under the name of science. If you want to see a species of devilism made manifest, it comes out under a scientific phraseology, under the species name of electrobiology, animal magnetism, or some popular name. Other names from that era. Names that have been given to real sciences, which have their laws founded in nature, are now given to these supernatural manifestations. Why does Satan use these artifices? Because the people at the present day have become naturally scientific, or a great many of them have, and the devil thinks if he can only invent a real nice, beautiful name with some resemblance to a scientific name, a great many of these persons will swallow it down and think it all right. We may form some little calculation of the vast numbers thus thrown out of heaven when we consider that they were 1/3 of all the spirits that were born, intended for this creation. Only 2/3 kept their first estate, and they have the great privilege of coming here to this creation and taking bodies of flesh and bones, tabernacles wherein their spirits may dwell, to prepare themselves for a more glorious state of existence hereafter. If then only 2/3 of the hosts of heaven are to come to our earth to tabernacle in the flesh, we may form some idea of the vast number who fell. Already our earth has teemed for 6,000 years with numberless millions of human beings whose spirits existed before the foundation of the world. Those who now exist probably number 1,000 or 1,200 millions. 1,200 millions of spirits now dwelling in mortal flesh. Okay, how are they dwelling in mortal flesh? Are they possessing human beings that do have their bodies? Think of the immense numbers who must have preceded us and the myriads who are to come. These are the 2/3 who kept their first estate. Their numbers probably cannot be less than 200,000 millions. Leaving as an approximate estimate 100,000 millions of rebellious spirits or devils who are cast out from heaven and banished to this creation, having no privilege of fleshly tabernacles. It was in the Garden of Eden that the devil, or one of those foul spirits, entered into a certain animal or beast called a serpent, and came before our first parents and beguiled them, and they suffered themselves to partake of the forbidden fruit. If then they were in the earth as early as the Garden of Eden, no doubt they have been here from that day to this, and that the earth is the place of their habitation. They wander to and fro in the earth, seeking whom they may devour. Only think of 100 devils to every being that now exists on the earth. Though these spirits had not the full knowledge of the Almighty, though they had not that superior knowledge that reigns in the bosom of the Son of God, and of many that stood in his presence, yet they had great information before their fall. They had stood in the presence of God, and had, no doubt, learned many things from his own mouth. How long they had been in his presence, it is not for us to say. God has not revealed it, but they had great experience. I am speaking of the knowledge and the cunning that these enemies of God possessed when they were cast down here to the earth. They have cunning beyond what you have ever seen manifested by the children of men. They can, at times, apparently be perfect gentlemen when they enter the tabernacles of the children of men. They can become, apparently, very pious, and if you could not discern spirits, again, as quoted before, you would think that they were perfect angels on earth. According to the history that is given of this event, a general council was held in heaven about the time of the creation of this earth. In that council there was a personage called an angel, who stood in authority in the presence of God, and when the question was asked, who shall go forth and redeem mankind? Lucifer, the son of the morning, this angel who stood in the presence of God, answered and said, Here I am. Send me. I will go forth and redeem all mankind, that not one soul shall be lost. But the only begotten Son of the Father, who was with the Father from the beginning, replied and said, Father, thy will be done, and the glory of thine forever. And here a rebellion rose up between Satan, the son of the morning, and the Son of the living God, as to the redemption of mankind. Everyone, no matter what they think, no matter how they feel, no matter what behaviors they want to be indulge in, according to Satan, should be saved. One sought to destroy the plan of God and the agency that the Lord intended to give to intelligent beings, and to redeem them whether they would be redeemed or not. And because he considered that his plan was so good before the heavens, and so much superior to the plan that God had devised, said he, Surely I will do it. Wherefore, give me thine honor, which is the power of God. That is, he sought to obtain the throne of the Almighty, and to carry out his own purposes in preference to yielding to the purposes and power of the Almighty. This rebellion became so great, and the influence of it spread so rapidly among the heavenly hosts, that 1/3 of the part of the heavenly throng did rebel, as quoted earlier. Please comment, like, and subscribe. If you have any insights, please leave a comment in the comment field. Thank you for watching.